Throughout history, people have made amazing accomplishments that define themselves. Now, it's our turn to tell those accomplishments, to tell his story, her story, their story, and even your story. With Mike Wexler.
And welcome to Your Story with me, Mike Wexler. We are here live at the Wrestling Guys store. We just got done with the meet and greet with Chelsea Green, and today I have a very special guest. This man is a professional wrestling fan, family man, and of course the owner of this world famous establishment of the Wrestling Guys store. I'm talking about the wrestling guy himself, David Gomez. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How about yourself?
Pretty good, you know, pretty hot day outside. We saw a lot of people sweating, including myself inside this jacket that I have.
Hey, but you know what? You look good.
I appreciate that. Yes. And I see someone on the side telling me not wise, but you know what? That's all good. We are here. So what was it like, you know, seeing the fans, getting to interact with Chelsea Green?
It's always good. It's fun when you see them interacting because, you know, you brought in somebody that they like. And as long as the wrestler's having fun and the fans are having fun, I'm great. So it's always fun that way.
One pattern that I've noticed at the Wrestling Guys store is that everybody has a great time whenever they do wrestling meet and greets. I know I've been to very, very many of the Wrestling Guys store meet and greets, that including the Good Brothers, Aiden English and Chavo Guerrero were here. Just a little bit of a few names that have been here. But you actually opened a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to open the Wrestling Guys store?
Well, we started off in the swap meet. And then the reason is I had a cell phone store. The cell phone store didn't do well. So I had some wrestling t-shirts that I had ordered to try to make extra income besides the cell phone. And so when the cell phone store closed, I said, I gotta get rid of these t-shirts. So I had a friend that actually mentioned this swap meet to me, so Santa Fe Springs. And I said, you know what, I'm gonna go over there, get rid of my inventory and see how it goes. And sure enough, I took about maybe a good 24 t-shirts. And they all sold out within like an hour. And after that, I said, you know what, I gotta keep doing it. So I kept doing it, and then I added toys and stuff. And I was there for about 8 years, and then the opportunity, my son's best friend, mom, had told me like, hey, are you still looking for a location? I said, yeah. She's like, there's this place in Huntington Park, I think you'd like it. And I'm like, all right. So I came to talk to the landlord. After about kicking my own butt like 5 times about whether I should or shouldn't open a store, because we were doing really well at the swap meet. I finally said, okay. And yeah, it worked out, and it started off with just a couple shirts and then maybe a couple figures. But it didn't look anything like it does now.
Well, I mean, we do want to talk about what this establishment looks like. I mean, you have a couple of autographs, a lot of art pieces for their guests. Those including Andrade, Mil Mascaras, and so many other people. But out of all those meet and greets that you've had thus far, which one has been your favorite?
That's the tough one. But I'm gonna go with, just because he was our first, I'm gonna go with Chris Masters.
Okay.
But I love all of them. They're all my favorites, but I'm gonna say Chris Masters because he was our very first ever meet and greet.
Wow, and then looking back at it now, so many meet and greets. One thing I did want to mention as well is that you're a family man. You always bring your family to these meet and greets, whether that's through your daughters, your sons. Family's so important to you, and I think that's all agreeing throughout the whole room over here, that family is so important.
Yeah.
So how much of an impact has your family been on you?
You know, they're very supportive. My wife, which I don't mention very often, just because, I try to keep it pretty private, but she's very supportive. She's actually the one. The funny story is, because I kept saying I kicked myself in the butt, I just kept saying, well, if it's meant to happen, this will happen, and this will happen, and this will happen. So finally, after the 3rd time that I finally got the sign that it was meant to happen, she told me like, all right, you already got all the signs, just open the damn store. So she's very supportive. My oldest is very supportive of the store as well. They've worked here. They help on Wednesdays in running it. And now that we have a little daughter, they all 3 of them help watch her so that I could be here. And my little daughter, she hates that I come over here now because she's only 2 and she's a daddy's girl. But she loves coming to the store and she loves seeing everything that happens. And the wrestlers are always great when she's here. And so I honestly feel without that support, I don't think the store would be anywhere near as successful as it's been without them. So.
Absolutely. Family is so important, but you also have a family outside of your family, that being the Wrestling Guys store crew and of course the fans that always come. So how much of an impact have they had on David Gomez?
So the fans, love the fans. Honestly, I was just telling my son a couple days ago, I went to a very small private school. So I only had, I think it was my graduating class, if I'm not mistaken, 7 of us. Out of those 7, we kind of all went our own ways. And, you know, so I really didn't have too many friends coming out of high school. So I made most of my friends here at the store. So that's been a big impact. As far as like some of the like the crew, I mean, you know, Dennis the butcher, he's been a big part of how the store looks. Him and his son Anthony, it was their idea for the boards, their idea for the colors. Also, you know, Ernie, who helps run the store, who like drives nuts every day, and I'm not here. He's my number 2, right behind me. And then we have Matt, who always, you know, he's always stocking the shelves and doing stuff. So that's why I say I've made a lot of my friends here, a lot of customers that, well, I don't like to call them customers, guests. A lot of the guests that have come in, you know, I've become friends with, and we talk every now and then, like yourself. You know, we talk about certain things, and it's the truth, you know, even, and your enemy that's standing behind the producer. But you know, honestly, I've made a lot of friends because of the store. So like Dennis, Matt, you know, Hector, yourself, Francisco, who's recording right now, Chris, who's behind them, the other Chris, but Ernie. But the main shout out I really want to give to, that I had my best friend, which I'm about to get emotional, was my best friend Alfred, who I met here. Unfortunately, no longer with us. But I don't think the store would be around now if it wasn't for him. I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, no worries. I mean, it's great dedication.
Poured out for shakes.
Yeah, great dedication, you know, and it's so great that you have this store and so many connections and family that you have throughout the store.
Yeah, he was a big supporter. I'll tell you a quick story. There was a time we had no sales that day, and I went home, and I left early. I was just frustrated, and I got home, and next thing you know, I see $100 on the phone. I'm like, who made the $100 sales? Sure enough, he had bought every single trading card that we had in a box that equaled $100 because he didn't want me to go home at 0 for the day. So I've been pretty blessed that with the store I've made all my friends, but after it was my brother, and I mean, yeah.
Well, it's a beautiful dedication and a beautiful shout out. Before we go, David, once again, we want to say thank you for all the things that you've done, and of course, the memories that you make throughout this entire process.
I want to thank every single person that comes in. I want to thank you. Like I said, everybody that's back here that people don't see, because I honestly say the store wouldn't be anywhere near as successful if it isn't for you guys. I just try to do the best that I can. That's why I take it pretty hard when things don't go right, because I want to make sure every single person that leaves here leaves with a good memory and is happy. So I thank you even for this. When I opened this, I never expected to do interviews or anything, honestly. So I thank you for taking the time to share my story.
Of course, and of course your story is important, just like your story is important, which leads us to this. Thank you so much for tuning into this story. And before we go, David, is there any final message, any shout outs, anything coming up? Is there anything that you want to plug?
I'm gonna give you the scoop. So we'll have the Iconics will be here on November 18th, Thursday, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. So there you go. You got the scoop. They'll be here again Thursday, November 18th, from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m.
All right, well, David, thank you so much for being here. And if you want to follow The Wrestling Guy on any social media, I believe on Instagram it's at The Wrestling Guy Store.
Yes.
And of course on Twitter, which is an interesting one, Wrestling Guy HB?
Yes, they didn't want to give me the store for some reason.
Thank you guys, and I will see you guys in the next episode of Your Story.